Okay, so real shortly, the thing I wanted to talk about in the last video, but didn't really get to, you know, say much about. Um, it was another one shot that really went nowhere, and I ended up DMing for it. And it was like literally me, David, um, Terry, and Jesse. And David had convinced me that he could play any character to the best of his ability. He could rock anything, right? And I was debating with him at the time that, in fact, Wildlings, or Wilden, sorry, they're called Wilden, were pretty much the weakest and most useless characters in all of D&D, and they are. I don't know why they were ever created. It's the worst idea anybody had. You want to talk about overpowered characters that were created in the wake of 4th edition? All you have to do is pretty much look at, like, the Dragonborn, right? Really overpowered characters. I don't mind if somebody plays as them, but prefer it if you decided not to go with the Dragonborn. I was actually prompted to play a game where we were all Dragonborn, and I turned that down. I was like, no, I'm okay. Because when you're all these hulking, like, monstrosities of these dragon-human hybrid things, you can all, like, do different things and have breath weapons and stuff, and it's just like, you just gotta mow through shit, really. But 4th edition also did introduce the Wilden. And the Wilden are the weakest and most useless characters, in my opinion, in all of D&D, and they are. So, Wildlin are twig people made out of sticks and leaves. Their skin and what they're made of out of literally leaves, okay? They're leaf people, and their bones are literally twigs, like little tree branch twigs. Okay, that's their bone structure. And so David was like, I could rock a Wilden. And he convinced me into doing a DM game. He just kind of like pressured me into it until, like, he wouldn't shut up about it, basically, until he had a chance to prove me wrong. And it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, so I was out to prove him wrong instantly, right? Because I'm literally hosting a game where David has convinced everybody in our small little group at the time to play a fucking Wilden. A Wildling, whatever. A fucking twig person, okay? And so now I'm like, oh dear God, I've got these 3 Wildens, whatever, and it's just like, okay, whatever. You're summoned by your tribe leader to go find this ancient scroll in this temple deep in the wilderness to, save your people from this mystic disease that's plaguing them, right? Alright, cool, yeah, let's do it. And so they didn't make it really all that far because their first time out, I'm like, okay, yeah, and I'm rolling to see, when they're going to encounter their first enemy. And already, I could probably tell you their first enemy is their last. So, inevitably, they get to their first encounter, and I'm like, you hear a rustling in the bush in front of you, and all of a sudden, a hellhound pops out of nowhere. And he just looks at me. He's like, "Oh, you son of a bitch!" Like, yep. Prepare for battle, and he really tries to his detriment. They all really tried, failed horribly. You got one hellhound just tearing them apart and lighting them on fire, and it is a total slaughter. And I think at the end of it, I made my point pretty apparent. So, and from that moment on, I was like, can we stop the Wilden shit? He was like, fine, whatever, I guess. I've never had to host a DM game for another Wilden ever since. And Terry knew. And Terry was just like, yeah, sure, I don't have anything to do today. Why not? It was kind of that thing where, like, he kind of knew, but he kind of forgot how awful they are. He's like, I've got nothing better to do. Why the fuck not? Jessie didn't really know any better because she was kind of newer to D&D, but I think I made my point very apparent. But yeah, total party kill, There was never a Wilden game hosted after that. I can tell you that much. Anyways, until next time.